Hey, Mike here from Showboys. We're excited to bring you Showboys Gaming, a YouTube channel created for you to enjoy our exclusive gaming content. Anything from live streams to gaming videos will be found here. Go subscribe now so you don't miss out on any Showboys gaming content.
Hi, I'm Becca.
And I'm Mike.
And we're the Courtneys.
We're the hosts of a new marriage and relationship centered podcast called Couple Conversations. We're not here to give marriage or relationship advice, but instead we're just going to have some honest and thought-provoking conversations about our relationship.
After 10 years of marriage and the chaos of parenting, business ownership, and being content creators, we thought it was important to focus on dating each other and keep the spark alive in our marriage. So when we're old and wrinkly, we still enjoy each other's company.
Each week we'll be going through a series of questions to have honest conversations about our relationship, as well as occasionally be joined by other couples to hear their stories and advice. We just want to share the things that we've learned along our journey and remind you all to continue to date your spouse.
So join us every other Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, beginning October 8th, and join the conversation.
Hey, Nick from Showboys here, and I want to invite you to become a member of the Showboys Discord. Our Discord is the one-stop shop for all things Showboys, from announcements to fun conversations, and of course, memes. Come get to know the Showboys staff and our growing community of pop culture fanatics. We have something for just about anyone.
Hey, Mike from Showboys here, and I wanted to let you know about the Showboys merch shop. Go check out our classic collection featuring our classic Showboys logo. You'll find a variety of products ranging from phone cases to tumblers and coffee mugs, and of course, t-shirts and hoodies. Head over to linktr.ee/showboyspodcast for the link to the shop. So what are you waiting for? Head over to the Showboys merch shop, help support the podcast, and grab yourself some Showboys swag.
Hi, my name is Siv, and I'm a proud partner of the Showboys stream team. I'm what you call a variety streamer. What that means is I play a bunch of different styles of games, from platformers and shooters to fighters and survival horror. We rarely play the same games twice, and it's normally a game I don't know anything about. What this means for you is fresh and interesting content, live on the regular. And if you're the kind of person who prefers to watch at their leisure, we have a YouTube channel where we upload content daily. I mean, with so many options, why haven't you joined the civilization yet?
What's up, guys? Chad from Showboys. Just wanted to remind you that we have officially launched our Patreon. Head over to Patreon and check out the exclusive content offered for each tier. From the ability to recommend a topic for the show, exclusive Patreon-only episodes, the chance to appear on an episode as a guest, and much more. With tiers starting at only $1 a month, you can help support our growing community and help us continue to bring our amazing content directly to your lovely little ears.
Hello.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Welcome to another episode of Showboys. Yeah, I don't know how we follow that up.
It's so good. James Gunn just needs to do playlists in between being like a writer, director, and all that jazz.
What I really wanted to do, but I mean, it doesn't really work that well because,
Wow.
that was real squeaky.
Holy buckets. That was like from the depths, man. That hit me in my soul, I think. Like, seriously, I think my soul's upstairs right now.
Eagly does not like those noises.
Eagly, actually was Eagly. He's
Yeah.
around the corner. But I thought it'd be funny if we did the dance, but I just don't think that would translate well with, the small cameras.
True.
Yeah.
Although I'm fairly certain we can do it much better than John Cena, because that dude clearly has never danced a day in his life. I'm not saying I'm a good dancer by any stretch of the imagination, but holy buckets.
Yes. I apologize. I moved my microphone and it's very squeaky apparently.
Need to WD-40 that, man.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, my name is Mike, joined as always with Nick and Chad here, another episode of Showboys. And if you haven't guessed yet, we're going to be talking about Peacemaker tonight, which is a very fun HBO Max series spin-off of the Suicide Squad, following the character Peacemaker played by John Cena, which, you just saw the lovely intro to the show. I couldn't think of a better way to start our show than with that epic dance number that happens.
Awesome.
The first time the intro played in the first episode, I was like, it was like episode 1 of Black Mirror type reaction where I'm like, what am I watching?
Right.
It grows on you for sure.
It's so terrible, but I can't look away. And now it's my favorite part of the show. I love it. I look forward to seeing that intro every time.
I think James Gunn said that he didn't. So prior to me watching this, I read an article where it said that he doesn't want anybody to skip the intro. So going into it, I knew that it was going to be something weird. So I was prepped for it.
I love it. But yeah, before we get into things here, of course, want to shout out our top tier patrons, Tim B and Yusuf H. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. It means a lot to us, and helps us pay for things like using StreamYard to live stream our episodes, and it's very much appreciated. Thank you guys so much for the support. If you are interested in becoming a cool person like Tim B and Yusuf H, you can check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/showboyspodcast. There's 4 different tiers, starting as low as $1. You can support the podcast. Each tier has its own set of perks and rewards. There's some cool stuff there. Go check it out. It would mean a lot to us if you did. And yeah, we also have a merch shop. Link is in the episode description. And of course, we have the Showboys survey floating around out there on the Twitter and our Discord somewhere. If you could take that would mean the world to us too. Give us some feedback on how we're doing and things that we can improve. That'd be great. But yeah, we're talking about Peacemaker tonight. As Chad said, James Gunn, and Nick has also mentioned James Gunn, has written and directed these episodes. I gotta say, James, before we even get into the show, like, James Gunn is the perfect person to take on these obscenely obscure comic book characters. I mean, what he did with the Suicide Squad, not to be confused with Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad that came out a couple years ago. Was it last year even?
I think it was last year.
I think it was, yeah.
Fabulous. Way better than Suicide Squad. The work that he's done with Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously, that weird cast of characters.
Okay. This dude got canceled for something though, didn't he?
He did, but then he got uncanceled.
Then he got uncanceled.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought
making Peacemakers how you get uncanceled for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, no matter how many men, women, and children he has to kill to get uncanceled. Yeah, he did get canceled. I forget exactly what for, but then miraculously became uncanceled.
It seemed like funnel you out the front door and let you back in the back door type of deal? Or
Yeah,
well, he's not working with Marvel anymore, right?
he's still doing Guardians.
Is he doing Guardians? Okay,
Yeah.
so definitely, hey, you got to leave. Go out that way. We'll let you back in this way.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Nick can find out exactly what he's canceled for. But yeah, I don't know. He just has a unique touch on these like weird goofball characters, and this show is super fun. But yeah, Nick wanted to do a little bit of a special episode tonight where you kind of get a little taste of what our companion series episodes are like. If you have never heard them, or have no idea what we're talking about when we say companion series, we've done what this is our fourth. The Book of Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett is our fourth companion series we've done. We've done one on The Mandalorian season 2, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and The Bad Batch. And basically,
I'm super excited for that Bad Batch one because I'm about to start the Bad Batch, and I'm going to listen as I'm going through the series. So
very nice. But what we do is after each new episode is released, we watch it multiple times. Then we come on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. and we recap the episode. We break it down and we overanalyze and speculate and predict theories about what will happen and what Easter eggs we found in each episode for every new episode as the season airs. Obviously, we're not going to do that for Peacemaker because we already have a companion series going at the moment. But what we wanted to do was bring you a little taste of that on a Thursday night. We're not going to recap the first 4 episodes because that would take like about 6 hours of Showboys time.
Think we're going to watch them.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll just do like a short summary maybe of each episode. We'll break down some of the major things that have been happening so far in each episode. Talk about the characters, talk about what makes us enjoy the show, and then get into speculation mode, which is one of my favorite things we do with the companion series. Maybe try to make some predictions, and then of course if any of you out there have seen the show and you want to tell us what you think about it, your predictions, your theories, you can go ahead and comment in on the live stream. We'll throw it up on the screen and we can chat about it. But yeah, Nick, you were the first one. Well, I shouldn't say the first one because Jordan was the first one who sadly could not be here, which I find hilariously ironic because he's been pushing us all to watch this show and has wanted to do an episode on it. And we're like, all right, fine, we'll do it, Jordan. This is when we're going to do it. And he's like, crap, I can't do it. So
right. Yeah.
But out of the 3 people here, Nick was the first one to start watching the series. And, he tagged in with Jordan and he's like, guys, you guys got to watch this. So Nick, why don't you start us off? And maybe we'll go around, say kind of what we like, our general overall opinions on the show. And then we can kind of start going episode by episode, giving the summary and talking about some of the characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure thing. But first, I have to update everyone on why James Gunn was canceled.
Please do.
Yes.
I guess he's less so canceled. He was mostly just fired from Disney, from Guardians of the Galaxy. But obviously, it was regarding around some old social media posts, I believe Twitter, that were kind of like unearthed.
Yeah.
And they just kind of related to the topics of like pedophilia and rape.
I remember this. Yeah,
they're kind of weird.
Definitely weird. Yeah, for sure.
They're along the lines of like weird joke humor, but also definitely crosses the line in terms of like
definitely not something. Yeah, not something you should be joking about. Probably. I remember them being very like, what on earth are we talking about here? So
yeah, that is for sure.
And they were like out of the unprovoked, out of the blue too, from what I remember correctly. Like they just random tweets from him.
They're super obscure. They're things that like yeah, you just kind of don't say them. But he said them. And that kind of is what it is. But it was enough for, I think, especially the topics here. It was enough for Disney to be like, you know what? Maybe not. Disney Plus,
Good way to put it.
it's a sacred.
Maybe not.
It's a sacred place, So maybe not.
But then they're like, oh wait, we need a third Guardians of the Galaxy.
So he didn't do the third?
No, he is like he's
That's what I said. Yeah, that's what I said. They
Yeah.
literally shoved him out the front door with
Oh, I get that.
disgrace, and then opened the back door up for him to let him.
They're like, oh wait, people actually loved Guardians of the Galaxy. Could you maybe?
That's full circle, like
Yeah.
totally uncanceled.
Right.
Rip Gina Carano.
Could you maybe come in the back door and not be such a piece of crap this time? And we'll think about keeping you around.
So he's one of the few people to get uncanceled, especially by like the people who canceled you in the first place.
Yeah,
I feel like that doesn't happen
That's
too
true.
often.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
You
I feel like most people will roundabout get uncanceled, but definitely not from the same people that canceled them. So.
Well, yeah, it's just like you did 1 and 2, and you're like, all right, canceled, and then like, we really need 3.
Yeah,
right.
Oh yeah,
back,
and we want to do a holiday
Joe.
special too.
Yeah,
We definitely. Yeah.
Oh man.
I don't know. I just think my new stance now is going to be Disney is sexist because they uncanceled James Gunn, but they haven't uncanceled Gina Carano yet.
And from what I remember, James Gunn's allegations were significantly worse than Gina.
maybe just a little bit,
significantly. So,
but hey, we're not going to open that can of worms.
No. But
Man,
yeah, Peacemaker.
There was something I was going to say, but I have totally forgotten. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll come back.
Okay, you sit on that for a bit.
Yeah, I'll sit on it.
Also, before we get into it, we have our underfunded scientist with the Yo.
He's back.
5 O's.
Yep.
He was also thoroughly confused by the intro, not the classic Showboys intro, which he loves. But he didn't get to see it this time. Sorry, Undy.
You know
Undefunded.
what? Maybe let's, before we go on in the comments, we should say this in case we get another like Return of the Goon situation where we have to like cut that part of the episode out. Yeah, if you're watching this video after the fact and there's just awkward nothing in the beginning, it's because we played the epic opening credits of Peacemaker, which I wouldn't be surprised if we get struck, whatever.
We can
have to remove that.
Yeah, I forget. It depends on the severity. I do know when on the One Goon episode that had to get removed completely. Versus other times it's just like a copyright claim and it can sit there and you just can't monetize it. Not that that's an issue, but
right.
Yeah. Not terrible. I think we'll survive.
Let's hope.
And Bio leans into this. Wow, totally gonna get popped for this, but worth it. It's very worth it. We take those risks around here.
Yeah. Of course.
Naturally. So yeah, Peacemaker. Pretty crazy show. It's vulgar. It has a nice blend of like self-aware introspection on like otherwise very touchy subjects, sexism, racism. Like it doesn't steer away from these topics, it leans into them very hard, which is funny that we just talked about James Gunn in that way, and he's like, oh cool, I can actually just talk about these and make jokes about these things anyways, but they're recovered through the writing, and I think there's like some really good feedback commentary, especially from the other characters, because Peacemaker is essentially he's like an emotionally distorted person. Yeah, like his emotions are very, very confusing and messed up, and that's a big part of the character that I think they focus on. But he unknowingly is like sexist, racist, but he's not. And that's like the magic of it. Like through the writing here, it like redeems itself instantly. And it's very self-aware as it goes. And that's like my favorite thing about the show. On top of just the ridiculousness that this character is. In Chad's favor, it being John Cena, actually find a role that sheds away the John Cena-ness. You don't think so? You just have a hard prejudice against John Cena.
For the life of me, I can't stand the dude. But I will say, are you done with your breakdown of your? Okay. I will say that when you guys told me to watch this show, not really typically my type of show, so I put the trailer on. I was like, oh man, yeah, really not my type of show. I can't remember if it's toward the end of the first episode where he's dancing in tighty whities. I'm like, dude, what am I watching? What is that? First off, the dude's got the most gnarliest veins on his chest. Like I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Yeah. Starting from like here all the way to here.
It has like a squiggly down his chest. It's like really bizarre looking.
Yeah.
But as I continued to watch the show, I actually think that I really started to like it. And I think I like it so much because it does give me and I said this earlier, that the character necessarily doesn't give me Deadpool vibes, but the setup of it kind of gives me Deadpool vibes, like that R-rated superhero story. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've liked I loved this episode I watched today. It's probably my favorite episode out of all the ones that I watched. There was some hysterical stuff that was cracking me up in that fourth episode. So
what was it called? Like the
chode less traveled.
Traveled.
Chode less traveled.
Oh, dude, yeah. There was just the whole prison setup there with Vigilante was hilarious, and then him talking to the old dude was like,
oh my gosh, yeah,
dude,
I was like, at him about Batman. He's like, I was just trying to start a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could definitely see the Deadpool vibes for sure. And if any character from this show reminds me of Deadpool, it's Vigilante.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like,
he's the blue Deadpool.
Yeah. And also kind of that's something I noticed today. But anyways, that's all I can think about is old Bobby.
We just got none of it. You broke up the entire thing you said.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I think Vigilante looks like Logic when he doesn't have his hands.
Oh yeah.
So it's just young Sinatra over there talking about murdering his family.
Indirectly.
It's a very campy show that leans into that. It's very it's just wild. I mean, it's like you take Guardians of the Galaxy and what James Gunn did with that ragtag group of goofball heroes, and then like multiply it by 20 because it's on HBO and it's for DC. So, DC already is not really targeting the family friendly vibe. And then on top of that, it's on HBO Max as a series. They just go as far as they want. It's very violent, very brutal. I love the fact that Peacemaker is literally just a psychopath who thinks he's a superhero and just is just a violent murderer, basically. The story's interesting because it picks up like pretty much directly from Peacemaker's story in the Suicide Squad. Which, did either of you guys watch the Suicide Squad?
No, but they recap at the top of the episode.
Yeah. They really like spoil obviously they tell the entire story of the movie in like 30 seconds.
I loved it
at the start of the first episode. So if you don't want to watch Suicide Squad, just watch the first minute of Peacemaker episode 1. And
previously on the Suicide Squad.
Yeah. But
it would have been cool if they did like a what's the dude from Ant-Man, like that style recap of Suicide Squad.
Michael Pena.
Yeah.
Those are the best. I love those.
It wouldn't have been a minute.
Yeah.
Right.
But after watching Suicide Squad, I was like, okay, he literally gets shot in the neck and looks like he dies. I'm like, how is this spin-off series going to work? And he wakes up in a hospital bed, recovered from being shot in the neck. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's how they're going to do it.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it's really interesting because Peacemaker, like in his heart, is a do-gooder, right? He thinks he's always doing the right thing, and I think, oddly enough, even though he is a murderous psychopath, he like does care about like the right thing, the mission, the goal, right? So much so that he'll go to literally any lengths to complete the mission, or what he thinks he has to do.
To an extent, because we do see him kind of reach his breaking point.
That is true.
So,
so it's interesting to see, obviously, Argus is back in the picture. Amanda Waller with, running her. Did you not watch? I did not, actually, because it took me 3 nights to watch the Suicide Squad because I watched stuff too late at night and I start to doze off. So when it ended, I was like, oh God, I got to go to bed. But no, did they explain? Sorry if anyone's not knowing what I'm talking about. Biosov says, did you not watch the after credits scene of the Suicide Squad? Did they explain that, Bio? I'm assuming they did by your comment. But yeah, Amanda Waller's crew is back here, and they're now running a Black Ops mission. And they need Peacemaker to be a part of their team. And
So you need a psychopath.
Yes. So they have, let's see if I think I have the character names up here somewhere. So of course, Peacemaker, who is Christopher Smith, Adebayo, who is the new recruit to the team, which we later find out that that's Amanda Waller's daughter. Then we have Clemson Munn, who is he's like the team leader, right? Then you have John, who is the computer guy. Then what's the Amelia Hartcourt or something like that?
Hartcourt, but it always sounds like they're saying hardcore.
I know. I think that probably is intentional because she is very hardcore, and actually she's right here.
Yep.
This is that character. And then the character right to the side of Chad is
Leota.
Yes. And then right where, the crotch chainsaw right under Nick's face is Vigilante.
My head's just like the rest of his torso.
Yeah. But that's kind of the Argus Black Ops crew here, and they're working together with Peacemaker, and yeah, that kind of brings us to the first episode here. So, Nick, do you recall like kind of the summary of episode 1?
Yeah. And I do want to say too, like, Vigilante kind of perfectly sums up himself, but mostly in Peacemaker is, we kill bad guys unless we make a mistake.
Yeah.
Like that's them to a T. Like they kill bad people unless they accidentally don't, and they kill good people by accident.
And I love also like just Vigilante trying to just he's like he just wants to be Peacemaker's like best friend, and Peacemaker is kind of just annoyed with him generally. So yeah, that whole dynamic is hilarious. I love it so much.
Yeah, he's definitely up. Like I like any scene that he's in. And I think it's great how he starts off as like, is he just like this dipshit that like it's just like the neighborhood kid that just hangs out in Peacemaker's shadow,
right?
And it turns out like no, he's not.
Yeah, he's like legit.
Yeah.
He's like legit a psychopath killer.
Yeah,
which they don't ever explicitly say, but through all of like this dude's like ridiculous dialogue.
By the end of episode 4, you can tell he's not
for sure.
He's not a poser. Which, by the way, we probably should have done this at the start. Spoiler warning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There, you've been warned.
But yeah, spoilers aside, episode 1, as Mike said, it leads right from the Suicide Squad, and basically we see him in Peacemaker in the hospital, and he is kind of confused, and he's okay, but it's coming to him that he's not under any sort of lockdown. He's just in this hospital, like he's a criminal. He was previously locked up, and he's no longer under the thumb of the law or any kind of handler. And he's like, I can just leave. And he has this great conversation with like the janitor, and he's just really trying to piece it together how he can just leave the hospital without any.
Dude, that
kind of
conversation's hilarious.
So
dude.
funny.
So
he's
funny.
like, oh, well, first the janitor has no idea who he is.
No
And
clue.
he's like, what are you talking about? How do you not know who I am? He's like, I'm Peacemaker. And he's like, oh, that racist superhero.
yeah.
He's like, what are you talking about? I'm not racist. He's like, you definitely kill like more minorities than you do white people.
The like Peacemaker offers like,
yeah, he's like, I'll definitely try to kill more white people moving forward.
Will that make it better? Yes. Yeah, and the whole like trust thing. He's like, do you trust me? He's like, we just smoked weed together, man. Like,
yeah, he's like, no, I don't know who you are. I'm a janitor. Like I went to MIT and I like now I'm a janitor. I forget that. It's great.
But yeah, great little in the series is just filled full of these like micro conversations that have nothing to do with the story. And they're just fun. Yeah. And that's kind of like where it takes that, like, I can see that like Deadpool stance where it like just separates itself from what's going on, and it's like, let's take a moment and just have a ridiculous conversation with an otherwise serious character.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he walks out of the hospital, and he's just still confused that he's just leaving. And does he get his gear?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he walks out in gear, and like the receptionist or the nurses are just like, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of them, I believe, is I don't know if it's Waller's daughter or not. But one of them sees him walking out, and she calls somebody, and she's like, oh, he's leaving.
Yeah, Leota does the whole like call back to back to base, and it's like the dove has flown the coop or whatever, and then they all kind of that's where we kind of get introduced to the team, the Argus team, and
Project
Butterfly. But he gets in a taxi and he beelines it for his home, his trailer. Is it in a trailer park?
Yes. Yeah. But I love the fact that he's
freaks out when he gets in,
right? And he just wears his costume all over the place. He lives in a trailer that is red, white, and blue. But the fact that he's a superhero and he lives in a trailer park,
right?
And his trailer's just a giant American flag, like red, white, and blue. It's just, it's perfect.
Oh, it's good, and it's like the rusty sheet metal too. But it's like it's painted red, white, and blue, and it has it like years of decay, but it's fine. But essentially, like this whole episode is just him figuring out what's going on. He thinks he's free. Obviously, Argus shows up at his home, and they quickly like reestablish the boundaries here. Like he's now working for Clemson Mern here, who just tells him, Project Butterfly. We get the intro to the whole crew of Argus, and they're a ragtag batch too.
Yes, and John and Harcourt, they are part of Amanda Waller's team in the Suicide Squad. So towards the end of the Suicide Squad, the squad kind of goes rogue, and she's like, I'm going to detonate. If you don't know anything about Suicide Squad, they get like little microchip bombs implanted into the base of their skull. And if they don't carry out the mission for Argus, Waller will execute them by blowing up the chip in their neck. So the squad starts to go rogue because they decide to save the people that the town that Starro is rampaging through, even though she tells them to come back because they completed the mission that she wanted, right? So she's about ready to detonate all their Chips and her team in the office there like knocks her out because they have a shred of humanity in their souls and are like, no, we really should save this town because there's a lot of innocent people being killed. Anyways, John and Harcourt are part of that team in the Suicide Squad, and now they're on this Black Ops team for Project Butterfly.
That's a great example of how you just cannot ruin or spoil a superhero movie for me, because you just said all that about the movie and I can watch that movie now and it has no impact on my enjoyment of a superhero movie. I don't think I've ever, like, we've talked about this before. Infinity War, that whole like jazz, like none of that, you could spoil that all day. I'm still going to watch that movie and get the same thing I'm going to get out of it unspoiled.
Yeah, I think I have the same sentiment about comic like superhero stuff. Like you all know if you've listened to the podcast, I try to stay away from trailers except for superhero stuff. Like I'll watch any MCU trailer that is ever put out. Just I love seeing all the
you're just watching the movie in 3 minutes.
And, but yeah, I didn't want to do No Way Home because that was like the only movie I didn't want spoiled.
Right. Yeah, they did a good job with that one though. Yeah, I think some people are more sensitive to spoilers than others. Mm-hmm. I probably line up more with you guys. I had Han Solo's death spoiled for me before that movie, and it still was super shocking for me when it came. So,
no, I hate spoilers. Except for most superhero movies. That's the only like pass.
Yeah.
But anything else, I will be so sad and devastated.
Yeah, I mean, I get it to a point, but I think that there's like there needs to be a cap on spoilers. Like if the movie's been out for a month, it's like, come on, bro. If you wanted to see it, you were gonna go see it.
Yeah,
so
no, that's acceptable. That's acceptable.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, continue on, Nick. I just wanted to explain a little backstory of some of the team here.
Yeah, no, that's helpful to know because that explains Peacemaker's already jump-started interest in Harcourt as he kind of tries to pursue her through the series, failingly. But he might be making some headway. I can't tell. Yeah.
She's a hard book to read.
She sure is. What's this? BioCiv says...
Oh, whoops. That was awkward. We both tried to put the comment up.
My dad called me the night Force Awakens came out on his drive home and just yelled, "Solo dies."
Oh, man.
Wow.
Dude, your dad is hilarious. All the stories you've told about like your family are just gold.
Well, first, why didn't you see it on the night it came out? Like, geez, man. No. I was there. Naturally. That was a good opening night. And I will say that was before they did assigned seats in theaters, and that's when everyone was packed and like 100 in Tinseltown, just shoulder to shoulder. Crazy to think about now, but also crazy in that afterwards, still that's when they started doing assigned seats, and that didn't happen anymore.
Yeah,
like everyone dressed up and just ready to pile into the movie theater. It's like that got killed without COVID, sadly.
It's true. I mean, it was still pretty swamped when we went to Spider-Man opening night, and there were plenty of people dressed up.
Okay.
Nice.
That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah. Continue on, sir.
Sure thing. So yeah, they corral Peacemaker, by force, because they'll blow him up otherwise, into this mission, this very important, as Myrn describes it, like literally an invasion, and they are the only people there to stop it. I never quite understood that whole angle in like shows and movies, because like if it's that important, why would just like four dorks be like trying to must not be that important, but maybe. And that's what Black Ops is all about. And that's the other thing, is like this is a whole Black Ops operation, so it's all hush hush, top secret. But that's the other funny part about it, because Peacemaker is kind of like dim-witted when it comes to
the opposite of that.
And I forget,
he lives in a red, white, and blue trailer, for crying out loud. He can't keep
wears
anything
his costume
secret.
around. So is the restaurant scene the next really scene that happens? I'm trying to recall.
Scene.
Basically, where he shows up in his gear.
Oh yeah,
no, he goes
probably.
to see his dad first.
Yeah.
And
we meet his dad. What a piece of work that guy is.
Yeah, so he shows up to his dad's house, which is a pretty normal, just like suburban house. And there's the old man over the hedge bush trimming his hedge bush, and that guy is hilarious.
Yeah.
I forget like the discourse that they had when he shows up at his dad's doorstep, and he's like trying to get his dad to answer the door, but he has to deal with, peeping Tom, basically,
the nosy neighbor over
the nosy neighbor. But yeah, his dad. Spoiler, they don't tell you kind of here, but I guess like that would be more known. And he's the what's his character? He is the white dragon. Yeah, so he's just like a super white supremacist, super villain.
Yeah,
I guess would be the term.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of history with his father in terms of why Peacemaker is the way he is. Really, like the way I see it is like Peacemaker is this like good-hearted kid that just had like a very messed up childhood, and
for sure, yeah,
it's a big reason. Like it's not really a lot his fault the way he is. It's all has to do with his dad. Fast forward to like episode 4 here when Vigilante's talking about.
Oh my gosh, that was my favorite part about episode 4.
That was hilarious because like they're talking about his dad, and then they're talking about Peacemaker's dad, and then Peacemaker starts talking about Vigilantes. And he's like, "What does this have to do with anything?" He's like, "I thought we were just talking about dads."
Yeah, he's like, "Your dad pretended to be gay to get away from me." Oh man, but no, yeah, I thought you were going somewhere else with Vigilante in episode 4. The other when he's in the prison.
Oh yeah,
that was my favorite part.
That's my favorite part.
That was so funny,
hands down.
But yeah, basically we meet Peacemaker's dad, and exactly like Nick said, you understand why Peacemaker is the way he is with the interaction that he has with his dad, because he's a real piece of trash, and he treats poor Chris here like just like absolute garbage. But we find out also later in the episode that his dad, I believe we find out in episode 1, maybe it's episode 2, I don't remember, but his dad has this crazy like quantum folding storage closet in their house. Cool. But he like makes Peacemaker's helmet, and there's different helmets that have different like abilities. So he kind of needs his dad in a way, but he also, as you see play out in the series, he knows his dad's like a piece of crap, but he still loves his dad because it's family, and he can't not love his dad.
Right. Vigilante missed that note.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the main takeaways from episode 1: Chris meets or Peacemaker meets the team, the Black Ops team. We find out that they're, it's Project Butterfly, but we don't really get many more details than that. And is episode 1 the episode where he meets the chick and goes back home, has the one night stand?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the whitey tighty dancing part.
Oh yeah, that's so yeah, he has a one night stand, and it becomes absolute chaos, and we find the first butterfly, I'll call it. However, we don't really know what it is by the end of this episode. But she becomes like a hysterical, super powered
zombie
monster thingy. She's like growling at him, and all of a sudden has like superhuman strength and all these acrobatic moves, and they have like a fight in their underwear, and it's hilarious. And she just like literally beats the crap out of him.
Dude, when he comes flying through that, go ahead.
Has those weird exorcist moves or whatever, like from like a horror movie where she like does the very like twitchy movements.
Yeah.
And she also has a lady mullet, which is interesting.
Yep. 80s hairband lady mullet.
Yeah. How does he kill her? Or does he kill her?
He uses the helmet.
He uses the sonic boom helmet or whatever it is.
We get to see his helmet in action. The fight breaks out into the parking lot. Oh, because he's trying to escape and get into his car, but he's like all cut and stabbed up, so he's like struggling getting into his car, and she's about to, you know, finish him off, and he activates his helmet, and it's basically like a mini nuke goes off in this parking lot. It obliterates everything and just turns her to goop.
Yeah,
Little
Dude,
group.
yeah, literally. And the cop picking up
What is
like,
this,
what is this? Pizza? No, put it down. It's a face.
Yeah, it's
What do you mean it's a
human
face?
flesh.
It's a human face.
Yeah. So that was the episode there. And then episode 2 is that the escape from the apartment building,
First half is like them trying to get Peacemaker out of the apartment building,
which is hysterical. Like he's so dumb. He goes instead of leaving, he goes back and like gets his suit, obviously, and he had like the project file for Project Butterfly with him, and he of course had to get that. That's what triggered this lady to attack him. She sees the file, starts reading through it, realizes that who this guy is, and tries to kill him. But not only does he get the essentials, but he is like looking through her record collection, getting all of the like 80s hairband albums.
because she was like his match in terms of like interests. Like he was in like, that's why he put the record player on, and he did the whitey tighty dance that Chad loves so much. And he was just feeling himself. But she reads the dossier and finds out like he's trying to kill her, though he doesn't know that even, and then turns on him.
Right.
So is he superhuman to some degree? Because like he gets stabbed, like obviously in Suicide Squad, he gets like shot in the neck.
Yeah,
I would have to say he's some sort of metahuman, but I'm not super familiar with the character Peacemaker in the comics because it's such an obscure character.
Yeah, literally, I've never even heard of him until you told me to watch this show. I didn't even know this was a DC character until he started talking about Batman, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. I would say though, because he does take a massive beating, right? And he's like jumping off buildings and like all that.
And he got stabbed like multiple times in that fight sequence with her, which always, man, that's just got to hurt so bad, right? Like every time I see a gnarly stab fight like that, it's like, oh my goodness.
Especially, I used to feel like when you're like chiseled and you have just all muscle, I feel like I feel like getting stabbed in just a pure muscle hurts even worse.
Right.
Like getting like stabbed in my flabby arm, I feel like would be a lot less painful than getting stabbed in just pure. Maybe not. I don't know.
I'd be pretty good then.
Right.
Just like butter.
Pincushion over here. But yeah, you know, like Nick said, the first half the team's trying to get him out of the apartment building, which is surrounded by cops at this point. And he has like a hysterical, almost like what is the movie The Raid, that takes place in like a giant apartment building or something. But he's trying to get out, and he ends up like getting into a couple's apartment somehow. And this whole interaction is hysterical because what happens by the end, the guy's girlfriend in the apartment starts to like swan over Peacemaker because they keep having these connections about music again, like because he has his like satchel of stuff that he took out of the apartment, and the records fell out, and the lady's like, oh yeah, I love that band or whatever. And so like the dude gets mad because she's like, you know, giving Peacemaker the eye, you know, and that whole interaction is hysterical, which ends up coming back around full circle in episode 3, I believe.
Yes, that is her.
Oh yeah, I just couldn't remember if it was at the end of episode 2 or in episode 3.
It was 3.
But what happens there in the second half of episode 2? I watched them all so fast that they kind of like blend together to me.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second half of 2. They get out of the apartment, and they make the go away. They go back to their base, which is just like I imagine like a rundown like convenience store, some kind of office space.
Yeah.
It was presented really like damaged and poor in episode 1, but it got cleaned up fairly well. It wasn't leaking anymore. Anyway, though, but what they basically spend the rest of the episode doing is trying to fix the fact that there's a huge crime scene, and otherwise was supposed to be an undercover black op.
Oh yeah.
His prints are there.
His car's there.
His car is there, which his car got from his dad's house is also rusty, red, white, and blue. Most obnoxious thing you can imagine.
Yeah.
We forgot to mention Eagly.
Yeah.
Eagly, yeah.
Eagly's pet bald eagle.
He got that from his dad's house. His dad.
That whole sequence is funny too, where he's like, "Dad, take a picture. He's hugging me. I don't want to move." And his dad's just gone.
His dad's absolutely like just disgusted with his son.
Yeah,
like he's just like the worst in every possible way in his dad's eyes. But he's got this big old heart. Like he has this pet eagle, and he has a bond with this eagle, and it's his best friend. But yeah, so they do the tech guy John. Right, that's John.
Yeah.
He was supposed to like fix the whole like digitally in the record books, like change the registration on the car, swap the fingerprints, but he chooses for whatever reason to do Peacemaker's dad instead of some random person that would have been much better to frame. He frames Peacemaker's dad. So the cops show up at Peacemaker dad's house, and basically twice, I think, and like the second time they finally arrest him. But that's a hilarious exchange because we get to see
one of the detectives is Asian, and
yeah.
Well,
super
an Asian
racist
woman
towards her.
An Asian woman. He's like, I think he went like sexist then racist.
Yeah,
like,
she just hit the whole gambit there.
And then when he closed the door in their face, and she called him a fork.
Yeah.
That was pretty hilarious. She was like, and her partner's like, why didn't you just like call him like a spoon or something? She's like, everyone uses spoons.
Yeah, he calls her chopsticks. I believe is where that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just says fork. But yeah, by the end of the episode,
he gets thrown in jail.
Peacemaker's dad is arrested and put in jail. And we kind of start to see some hints at who he really is with his interactions in prison there. There's a black gentleman sitting on a bench reading a book in right by a window in the sunlight, and Chris's dad stands in front of him, intimidates him to get out of his seat, and then all these other white supremacist looking prisoners come and like get on their knees in front of Chris's dad and start saying "All hail White Dragon."
Dragon, yeah.
So we find out who he is, which is super villain kind of thing, is what we learn. Because again, I'm not familiar with anything with these comics here. But yeah, so that takes us to the end of episode 2. Episode 3, we get to see the team go on a mission for Project Butterfly, which involves assassinating a senator who is confirmed to be a butterfly. This episode gets crazy by the end. Do you remember anything from this episode, Chad? Kind of what happens here?
Not the first half of it, but the second half of it, which is probably what we all remember. So
yeah.
Is this where Vigilante is introduced? Because Peacemaker's lying in his bed.
That's the second. I think that's the end of the second episode.
When they go out to the appliance.
I've been saving appliances while you've been away.
Yeah. That was awesome. That was so awesome. Because up to that point, you're right. At the end of episode 2, Peacemaker's down in the dumps crying in his bed. Vigilante comes and catches him crying, which isn't okay with Peacemaker. And you see how annoyed Peacemaker is with Vigilante, because actually the main reason Peacemaker, while this recap is going crazy because now we're all the way back to episode 1, the whole reason Peacemaker goes to his dad's house is because he checks his phone in his trailer and he has like 4,000 messages or something, and he goes to his dad because he's like, hey, I asked you to like shut my phone off while I was in prison. I asked you to do one thing, you couldn't do it. And like pretty much all of the messages are from Vigilante.
Yeah.
It's like 450 missed calls
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
So fast forward back to that episode 2, Peacemaker and Vigilante are having a conversation, and Vigilante's like, I'm your BFF, and Peacemaker's super annoyed, doesn't want anything to do with him. And then of course he's like, I've been saving appliances the entire time you've been locked up, and it changes Peacemaker's demeanor. And then we get an awesome montage of them just shooting and blowing up all these appliances, and then throwing sticks of dynamite at each other and laughing.
Yeah.
And it's
They're
very
doing like the
reminiscent.
slow-mo like explosion jumps.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of like the Zoolander freak gasoline fight accident where they're
Yeah.
pumping gas and spraying it on each other. Yeah, it was a very hilarious sequence there. But yeah, then we get to episode 3. I believe the first half of episode 3 is more just like the stakeout.
Yeah, it's them
the
setting up
senator's
what they have
house.
to do. They need to kill the senator as well as his wife and his children if they turn out to be butterflies, I believe.
Right. Exactly.
and
And the
then
whole
the-
team is here on the stakeout. So they have like their van, which is like their command center with John and Myrn, and then Harcourt and Peacemaker are actually outside the house with the sniper rifle waiting to
in the
assassinate these
Overwatch
people.
position, right?
Yeah. Leo, what's her name? Leota is also in the van. I forgot about that. There's a funny argument about how to say Bernstein Bears.
Yeah, which I thought was great because I love
Little Mandela
effect stuff.
there.
So.
That was so funny.
Mern shuts it down, but then like boss style, just like a moment of silence, and he's like, "It's Bernstein."
Yeah.
Yes. Another funny thing here is, we find out that Peacemaker's symbol is the dove of peace, right? It's what he has on the chest of his suit, and apparently is engraved in all of his weapons. And his big holdup here is the sniper rifle that he's provided with for this mission does not
Doesn't
have
have it.
the dove engraved on it. So of course he throws a stink about it and just draws a blobby dove with the Sharpie on the side, and then goes on the stakeout. But yeah, at first, they know that the senator is a butterfly, but on the trip or on the way there, Myrn is like, his wife might be one and his kids might be one. If we have to take out the whole family. Whoever is a butterfly needs to be assassinated. So during the stakeout, they find out the entire family are butterflies, and so he has to assassinate the entire family.
Right. We should talk about how they find that out, though.
Yes.
What they
How
show
do they
them
find
doing.
him out?
Yeah. So they show them around the kitchen table pouring some sort of liquid into a bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they all sit down to eat like family dinner, and they have these ginormous, like I don't know what to
Like
call them,
straw
steaks
tongues?
or worms that come out of their throat or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a tongue. Is that
I
what it
think
was supposed to be?
I think that's how like hummingbirds or like
Yeah, it's like
dragonflies
drawn
but,
in.
like
Yeah.
that's how they like actually drink nectar
Right.
and stuff. Very
Right.
similar.
So we find
creepy.
out that all of them are doing that, and that's
Yes.
important for when we get to episode 4 towards the end of it. But
Yes.
so
Also, as soon as they they get out of their like convoy of cars, right? And as soon as they get in the house, they kind of like snap into like an almost catatonic state, and they kind of are just walking around like lifeless husks, right? So
Right.
at that point, they're like, oh no, the whole family might be butterflies. And then, like Chad said, when they sit down around the dinner table and start slurping up this yellow stuff with their like weird snake straw tongues thingies, it's confirmed.
right.
So, Peacemaker gets the order. He's got to assassinate the entire family, and they're all just sitting there conveniently in front of a giant window. Easy pickings with the sniper rifle. But Peacemaker, he chokes. And this whole time, Vigilante kind of like snuck along and is now there with the crew. and Peacemaker chokes. Vigilante's like, hey man, it's all right. Just why don't you scoot over for a second? And then he sits down and kills everyone.
Just as
except
casual
for
as
the
can
senator.
Be. Yeah, just as casual as it can be. Sits down, kills the wife, both kids.
Yeah. Gets ready to kill the senator, and a new character is introduced. Which is what's he called? Judo Man?
Judo Master, I think.
Judo Master. Judo something. But yeah, he's a very short man in a green costume who is very good at the martial arts, and he just kind of kicks everyone's butt there and drags them into some weird like basement layer of the senator's house.
And we see the senator now knows what's going on. He's got a shotgun, and
he's torturing Vigilante to get information out of Peacemaker, and Peacemaker will not budge at all. So like Vigilante is getting his testicles electrocuted. The senator starts trying to cut off his pinky toe with like a pair of hedge clippers or something, and it isn't working out very well. And Vigilante's just like being tortured, and
dude, he's like, hilarious through the whole time. He's like, I can't lose my pinky. You can't even walk without your pinky.
Yeah, I'll just fall over. Like, eventually, I forget how exactly they get free, but they do get Peacemaker gets free. Shoots the senator in the face, and out of his entirely destroyed face crawls out this weird bug-like creature, and that's pretty much the importance of episode 3.
Right.
We get to
where you see it looks like a butterfly,
yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
like a alien butterfly. But I do want to point out the funniest part of this episode for me. I don't know why it made me laugh so hard, but the lady, I can't remember her name, but she licks the adhesive for the thing.
Oh,
she's
yeah,
like,
that's
ugh.
Leona.
They're like, why are you licking it? I thought you had oh my god, dude. I had to rewind it like 3 or 4 times because I was cracking up at that part.
That's how they get free.
That's how they get free, right?
Myrn, Leota, and Harcourt find the like passageway to this secret like basement layer, and Myrn hands Leota an explosive to put on the doorway because they can't open it for some reason. And exactly like Chad says, she peels off the adhesive, licks the back of it, and slaps it on the door. Or I don't even know if she slaps it on the door. She just licks it. And she's like, ah. And they're like, why did she do that? It's like, I thought it was like a stamp or something. Yeah, that was hilarious. The explosive malfunctions multiple times, then eventually explodes, and that's what kind of knocks over Peacemaker in his chair, and then he breaks free, et cetera, et cetera. We get the ending there. Episode 4, probably one of the best episode titles.
Yep.
The Long Chode Ahead, or whatever you guys said it was.
The Chode less travel. The Chode less traveled.
I keep saying something completely different.
Yeah,
I love it.
You're close. You got the chode part down. But...
Yeah, that's all I know is they use chode instead of road, and then I just keep making up
the road less traveled. It's a pretty common phrase, Mike.
Yeah. The long chode ahead. Come on.
Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense.
Nope.
But here we have I literally got just done watching this at like 8:58.
Yeah.
And now I everything's blurred together.
Yeah, of course.
We see Judo Master is being like, oh, by the way, John like literally beats in Judo Master's head with like a metal bar at the end of episode 3.
Well, he hit him with the van.
He did that, but that didn't really knock him out. So he like just starts whacking him in the head with a metal bar. So Judo Master is at the Black Ops base, like strapped to this futon with like IVs, keeping him alive. Peacemaker's trying to deal with his little choking issue there, or he wasn't able to pull the trigger, and he tells Myrn that it's because there was no dove engraved in the sniper rifle.
Yeah.
And he has to have a reason to kill kids. He's not just going to kill kids because he's told to or whatever. I love his tagline, like, you know, I'm gonna get peace no matter how many men, women, or children I have to kill to get it, or whatever. Which is,
And then he won't kill the children.
yeah.
It's a cool tagline.
It
is.
It just doesn't work all the time. So
right.
Disregard why it doesn't make sense. That's Peacemaker's kind of MO, you know?
Yeah. We only kill the bad guys unless we mess up.
Yep. Whoops.
Yeah. So what else happens here?
Well, we get obviously a little bit of, more activity here at the base. Like that's the first bit of it. Peacemaker's tired. Murn says he's going to explain everything right in the morning.
Yeah, that's right. Because still, Peacemaker's pissed because nobody will tell him what butterflies are and like why they what is the deal with the butterflies. And so Murn finally is like, go get some rest, and when you come back, I'll tell you everything.
Yeah. So Peacemaker just kind of storms out. Another kind of like team meeting. Murn's trying to convince somebody, and he ends up being Leota because Peacemaker trusts her the most, but basically needs to convince. Peacemaker found out that his dad got framed. That was the big whoopsie there, because that all came out through more great scenes with Vigilante. He was Vigilante was taking him home to get some rest.
The passive aggressive conversation about him being tortured.
Yes.
So funny.
He's like, you're mad. See, that's a mad tone. No, that was a normal tone.
Yeah. Like, I'm just, I thought it was really cool that you didn't say anything while I was getting tortured, man.
Made me a better person. So I grow as a person.
Yeah. Then they get into their argument about like their dads, which is hilarious.
Yeah, because he's going back to his dad's house to pick up, I think, just another helmet that he thinks will work for the mission. Well, that's where he has that whole Batman conversation and superhero, supervillain with the neighbor again.
Yeah,
I mean, his conversation makes sense though. If you're going to get down to like the logistics of why he thinks what he's thinking.
Yeah.
100%. Like I get it. Like Batman, he doesn't kill. He just they lock up the criminals and they always escape. And really, what good are you doing?
Yeah, that's my biggest hang up, especially with Batman. Like, dude, just kill the Joker, bro. Like, why are we doing this again? Just kill the dude. Like, this is going to happen again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's always my biggest hang up with superheroes I mean, I get the reason that they don't do it, but like specifically with Batman, it's like, dude, just do it. Like, like you'd save so many more lives.
Yeah. How many times are you going to let the Joker escape and commit more mass murder?
Right.
It's different because, like, especially with it's a little different in Marvel because they don't quite fight as evil of people. Like Thanos isn't necessarily like an evil guy. He's just kind of like an emperor that just has like a really twisted way he's going to solve the universe's problems.
Yeah.
You don't have never-ending bouts with them like a psychopath Joker that you can't defeat. Like that's the whole like Joker's thing. Like you can't defeat him, but Batman refuses. The one way you could probably deal with him and that would be to kill him. But even that's impossible because not to go on a Joker bit, but like
you just get another Joker.
Yeah, there's just gonna be another Joker. Because I already teased that idea. Like there's just infinite Jokers. Anyway, that's where doesn't the old man say like you're just gonna end up in jail like your dad or something?
Yeah.
Because he's basically a supervillain, and that's also a tick that he keeps hitting on. He keeps calling Peacemaker a supervillain. He's like, I'm not a supervillain, I'm a superhero.
Yeah.
And what does he keep asking him if he has like something?
Oh, if he has basically like a rogues gallery of villains.
Yeah.
What's that?
Like all the bad guys,
like a crew of
bad guys
of villains that he
goes up
against,
like
Joker.
Nemesis.
Yeah. Like Joker is a rogues gallery member for Batman.
Gotcha.
Green Goblin for Spider-Man.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Exactly.
That makes sense. I was like, what is this term?
And he's like, I don't have any because I kill them.
They're all dead.
Basically, yeah.
They're 6 feet under. That's where you get like the wrestler kind of comes back out a little bit.
Exactly.
Get like Undertaker vibes and stuff. But that's where he finds out that obviously his dad's in jail. Fast track that. Obviously, he got some more details there. So when he talks to Murn, he's like, like, why would you swap like my fingerprints registration like for my dad and all that? And they're just like, oh, it's a mistake, blah blah blah. So Peacemaker's going to the jail to talk to his dad. This is a bad idea because they're trying to keep their operation secret. And Peacemaker just isn't this most secretive person. He's very face value kind of guy. So Murn dispatches Leota to go stop him from talking to his dad. And this is where we get another funny interaction with Vigilante, because Vigilante is in his normal non-superhero dress code. And
he's very big on keeping his secret identity, by the way.
Yes.
Right. Big. And basically Leota shows up to like stop Peacemaker. They have, she doesn't convince him. He goes into the prison, or jail. I don't know why he's not in a prison. It's just like a normal county jail when it has like a bunch of real hard asses in there.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Also, is it like normal jail procedure to just have like the size of their
I know,
like,
XL,
jumpers on
M.
the pocket, which is great. I loved it.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's like, I mean, I've never been to jail or prison, so I don't know if that's.
It's a weird detail, but I picked up on that too.
Yeah.
I was like, it says M, and then I was like, his says XL, his says 3XL. I'm like,
Yeah.
But I like this scene because Leota is talking to Vigilante, and she's like, "You're a vigilante." He's like, "No, what? I'm not." Who? Changes his voice, and she's like, "You just changed your voice." He's like, "Oh, I had a cough,
I had to cough
or a sneeze."
Yeah.
But in some weird twisted way, which, to speak a little bit about Leota, is she is the daughter of
Amanda Waller.
And
she's there with a very specific reason that I can't remember, but it's stated in the show because she has a conversation with Waller. But she's there to like basically like spy on this team kind of deal, relay information back to Waller.
Yeah, and through basically by the end of episode 4, I think it's because she doesn't entirely trust everyone on that team and is trying to figure out something more. Leota's there. Her daughter, no one knows that. Leota is kind of this character that's forced into this line of work just by trying to do what the family does, impress her mother, blah, blah, blah. But she's just not that type of person. So like she has never killed anyone. Like she chokes in episode 3 in front of Harcourt. So she's trying to walk this line of like, this isn't really the life I want to live, but like she's also trying to be this black ops person. So she convinces in a very indirect way, plants the seed in Vigilante's head that Peacemaker's dad needs to die.
Yeah.
And he's like,
because he makes Peacemaker so sad, right? Because he's such a terrible person. It would just maybe be better if he just wasn't
around. And then he's just like, I gotta go. I gotta do something. He just walks off. But he walks off.
He gets in the prison is so funny.
He walks into the like open courtyard, the lunch yard, where there's a bunch of officers having lunch. Awkwardly limps in, awkwardly moves this trash can. They're all watching him, and then he picks it up and throws it against the window of the jail. And obviously he gets like tackled, arrested, and that was his plan to get into jail. But it was
like, hey, watch my pinky toe.
I sustained an injury.
Yeah.
But yeah, that dude's hilarious. So he gets into jail because he's just on a mission here to kill Peacemaker's dad. In the most, I don't know what his plan was though. Like it's just a bizarre plan.
Yeah. But also like I don't know if this happens before or after. Which let me just caveat this with for anyone who's watching or listening. Our companion series are actually very detailed and thorough, and we do have all of our ducks in a row for the recaps.
Yes, typically, yeah, true.
So like it's not we're not jumping around as much and being like, oh, I don't remember. Do you remember? Blah blah blah. But since we're doing 4 episodes at once and trying not to do even though we were trying not to do a full recap, we basically are doing a abbreviated full recap.
Yeah.
At some point, either before or after Vigilante gets himself arrested, Judo Master escapes and kind of beats the crap out of John. and is like trying to escape. Peacemaker comes and they have like another showdown, right? Because Judo Master thoroughly whooped him the first time, so Peacemaker's ready for the rematch here, and they're fighting, and they both get some good shots on each other, and Judo Master is about to explain what the butterflies are, and right when he's like, "Oh, the butterflies are," he gets
They're not
shot
what
in the
you
chest.
think.
Yeah, he's literally about to make some revelation and just get shot straight in the chest. And Peacemaker turns around and it's Leota trying to help the team, right? She thinks she's doing the right thing by helping Peacemaker here. But Peacemaker gets mad because he wanted his revenge, thought he was winning the fight. But more importantly, he was about to reveal some very important information. But I just say that because this whole interaction between Leota and Vigilante about Peacemaker's dad is another instance where you see Leota's trying to help the team in the way that she thinks is right, trying to pull her weight and do her part, but it really is just kind of like messing stuff up for the team. Because like Nick said, she's not like, this isn't her line of work. I don't know if she actually wants to do that part isn't quite clear. But I think at this point in the show, she's like, I think she likes the team, right? And I think she feels bad doing what she's doing for her mom, right?
Right.
Because it's going to end up in some sort of betrayal of the team, of course, because that's how these storylines go.
Yeah.
But here in this episode, you see her do these two things where she's trying to contribute in a positive way and help out the members of the team, but really she's just kind of like throwing a stick in the spokes, so to speak. But yes, we got to talk about the interaction of Vigilante and White Dragon here in the prison.
Yeah.
This by far the best part of the episode and probably the funniest part of the entire series so far, in my opinion.
For sure, yeah, I agree with you 100%.
You
It's worth just watching for yourself. I don't even want to break down what he says because I'm not going to do it justice.
Exactly. If you don't hear him do this interaction and dialogue, then it's just gonna not be as good.
Exactly.
Many times, like in movies and stuff, they've done this similar bit where it's like the person shows up to the table full of white supremacists and you want to trigger them into some sort of like action. So how do you trigger them? You say all these things, but what I liked about it was it's the most updated version of what you would say to trigger them in a very like funny way.
It's so great. The stuff he says to them, like literally I was laughing out loud. It's so funny.
Using like the rock and roll bands to say like these guys would not exist.
Yeah.
It's like all that typical music.
Yeah, like Leonard Skinner and then he says something about country music. Oh, is so funny.
Oh yeah, he gets into the whole sister thing.
Exactly. One by one, they're all triggered and they try to fight him, and he just decimates the three henchmen of the White Dragon here. And Peacemaker's dad, he's no rookie. He knows what Vigilante's trying to do, and he's like, I'm not gonna you're not gonna goad me into this, because there's cameras around here and they see us as the aggressor, right? Because they can't really hear what's going on. So he doesn't go for it. And basically, I don't remember exactly what Vigilante says, but he says something to let him know that he's there to kill him because of Peacemaker or something like that. Do you guys do you remember what he says there?
He says something about him being a piece of crap dad or something.
Yeah.
Or you're a terrible dad. You're a terrible father. That's what triggers him. So
yeah. Also prior to this, Peacemaker goes, like Nick said earlier, he goes to the prison to talk to his dad, and he basically spills the beans like, hey, I'm working with this Black Ops team and we covered up my mess by framing you, and that's why you're in jail. Sorry, but if you could just not tell anyone until like I'm done with this, and then I'll just turn myself in. And his dad's basically like, I'm no rat. but I'm gonna tell somebody as soon as I can.
Yeah.
And he's like, that would make you a
Yeah, he's
rat.
like, I don't want to like, make you angry or anything, but I mean that is literally what a rat is. But basically by the end, again, Peacemaker's dad's treating him like garbage, and he's like, I need to talk to Detective so and so. I got some information on this case. And that is just compounded here with this fight with Vigilante by the end of it when he's getting drug away. He's like, I really need to talk to this detective. I got some information on this case. So Vigilante kind of messes up here, right? Because now it's just expediting the whole Peacemaker getting found out thing, right?
Yeah.
The team finds out that Vigilante got arrested, so they pull their strings and get him released. And Harcourt picks him up, and he basically breaks down in the car, and he's like, I really screwed up.
I think I
made it worse.
Yeah. And then I believe that takes us to the end of the episode where we get a pretty big reveal here.
Who calls him?
I think it was somebody on the team basically saying, telling him like, Vigilante messed up. So, Mern's at his house watching some TV, and he
like
gets
a
this
zombie.
call. Right. He's very, catatonic almost. He gets the call, and he's like, all right, I'll be right in. Before he goes in, the camera zooms out, and he's got a little bowl in his hand, and then all of a sudden a little
Captain
throat
Crunch
straw comes out. And it's revealed that old Mern is a butterfly. So
a bad
interesting.
butterfly
Quite
trying
the
to kill
yes.
good butterflies.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. That was quite the reveal. I was wondering, I mean, obviously it's like the trope, right? The leader of these teams usually has some nefarious motive or whatever. So, not shocking. But interested to see how that plays out and what's going to happen there. I think also we get some more character insight on Peacemaker too towards the end of this episode. He's like just drinking and getting high in his trailer with the butterfly, which he didn't kill from the senator's face hole. He captured and has in a glass jar in his trailer. But Eagly, the butterfly, and Peacemaker just jamming out to some amazing 80s rock, which the soundtrack for the show is great. Like, again, James Gunn knows how to pick great music.
Yeah.
They're rocking out. Peacemaker's getting high and drunk, and he keeps having these like flashbacks to his childhood in which his dad has a wicked mullet. Like, holy cow, what a mullet. But there's a scene where Peacemaker and his dad are in a room. Peacemaker's a little kid, and there's a dude tied up in a chair, and his dad basically is making Peacemaker kill this guy because we're told throughout the first few episodes that he's been a trained killer since he could basically hold a knife pretty much from a very young age. And we see that play out in this flashback. The kid is traumatized. He's crying. He doesn't want to do it, but he also doesn't want to disappoint his dad, it looks like. So he just stabs this guy while he's crying, not wanting to kill this guy. And in this episode, too, I think this might be the first mention of Peacemaker's brother.
Yes.
Do you guys recall anything? So it's revealed that Peacemaker has a brother. And it's in the conversation with his dad in the prison. He's basically like, I've never loved you. I could never have any feelings for you as my son. I loved your brother, but like, I despise you, basically. So we find out he has a brother, and we also find out that like in his file, all that they know is that he was trained as a very young child to be a killer, and that his brother died in a mysterious manner.
Yeah.
And we see that kind of play out in these flashbacks. We don't see how he dies, but I have a sneaking suspicion. But basically we see his brother as a child fall on the ground and start like having a seizure and foam at the mouth. So he probably died in a fight, it looks like. And I'm
That's what it
assuming
looks like. Yeah.
Peacemaker and him were probably put into a fight against each other by his dad as some sort of weird training thing. I'm assuming that's my
that's
speculation.
a good point. Yeah.
Because that could explain the emotional scars that Peacemaker has, maybe why he doesn't remember his childhood so much because he's trying to block it out, and his dad's hatred and resentment towards Peacemaker because he killed the son that he did love. But again, that's just my speculation and prediction.
That's a good point. I took it as it was just like a schoolyard fight that he got hit the wrong way and started having a seizure. So that's a good point, though. I think I like your train of thought on that.
But that brings us there to the end. And of course, like we reported on in the newscast this last episode, every episode of Peacemaker has a post-credit scene, and they've all been pretty cool. And
are they more like bloopers though?
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I feel like they're kind of worthless, to be honest.
They're just kind of like humorous things. This one was just more of an extended cut of the whole like ducks being disguised as humans conversation between Vigilante and Peacemaker. But yeah, what happened is the reason Leota called Myrn was not because of Vigilante. It was because she noticed some connection with like a business card and a something else. I forget.
Yeah, it was a lead that she had.
Yeah. I don't know what the lead was for exactly, but she was looking through some files, found something called Myrn. But that's where we are right now, current, with all the way up through episode 4 of Peacemaker. Interesting story, to say the least. Jordan, who couldn't be here, did write down some notes for us, so I would feel remiss if I didn't bring them up, and just let all of Jordan's hard work go to waste. But he wanted to let you guys know that Peacemaker's first appearance was in Charlton's Comics Fightin' 5 number 40, which was released in November of 1966. So this is a pretty old character in comic standards, all the way back in 1966. Adrian Chase as Vigilante. His first appearance was in the New Teen Titans Annual number 2, which was released in August of 1983. So again, that's also a pretty old character. We're going on 40 years there for Vigilante. And the original Vigilante was a masked cowboy named Greg Saunders, who was a member of the 7 Soldiers of Victory and the beloved Justice Society of America. So that's interesting. I didn't really know anything about Vigilante or Peacemaker, obviously. And Jordan did notice a few Easter eggs here in the first 4 episodes. The first one being, I'm sure there's plenty more, but these are the ones that Jordan noticed. Peacemaker's main story takes place in Charlton County, which is a reference to Charlton's Comics. I wonder if I'm saying that right. I'm just going to assume that it's right.
Yeah.
When Peacemaker is told about Project Butterfly, he thinks he has to fight a giant flying butterfly or moth, and he says he needs a jetpack.
But a Mothra?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to need a jetpack. This is a reference going back to Peacemaker's early stories when he wore a jetpack into battle. So that's a nice little nod to some early comic stuff. And then something to note here, he says the show has some comedic horror elements that seem to run parallel with Ash versus Evil Dead. I wish that Jordan was here to like dive more into that, because I'm not sure where that's coming from, but
Ash
I would love.
I never heard of that, but I looked it up, and it's a comedy horror, 3 seasons on Netflix. But like the one cover image for it, chainsaw, very similar usage as Vigilante has here in like the background. So that's like a direct callback there. So yeah, it looks like an interesting show.
Yeah, it's. I believe that they're movies originally, the Evil Dead movies.
They're definitely.
This is the new series, I think.
Yes,
Sam Raimi, I believe, is the man behind the Evil Dead movies. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and so yeah, I don't know where he's getting it from either. To be honest with you, I haven't seen any of the Evil Dead movies. So
yeah, yep, I would have loved to pick his brain about that. But thank you, Jordan, for giving us those notes, because those are interesting little tidbits, little nuggets of comic information, which of course is all Jordan's useful for. Just throwing out little comic factoids and some cryptocurrency mumbo jumbo. Which, by the way, I could have really used him in a stream chat today, talking about NFTs, but that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys think you have any thoughts on what might play out in the rest of the series? First, are there 8 episodes, or what's the episode count? 8? Okay, so we're halfway through. Perfect. Any predictions or speculation on maybe what the butterflies are or doing? Myrn and his butterfly status. Peacemaker's dad being White Dragon. We see his costume here.
Yes.
Which, I'm not gonna lie, looks pretty cool. If it's sad that it's like a white supremacist supervillain, but the costume actually looks pretty cool.
That was when Vigilante bursts into the room and he's like, your dad's suit has like gaps in the armor.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, what's the deal with White Dragon? It's a pretty big character they're making it out to be, so I'm assuming he's going to play a giant role. And what's the fate of him? And then, of course, the whole Leota Waller dynamic and story arc here with her role on this team and what she's doing for Waller. Any predictions? Any thoughts? Speculations?
I'm gonna go. Well, this kind of Nick kind of pulled this out. I'm gonna go with Myrn is a bad butterfly killing out the good guys. I think there's obviously it's either that or he's the leader of all the butterflies and he's just taking out his enemies that he wants taken out. I think that he's not just a random butterfly. I want to know what the butterflies are from. They do kind of mention, did they not say something about them being aliens of some sort? I think one of the episodes.
In his conversation with his dad in the prison, when he's talking about the mission he's on, he's like
real illegal.
These are like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
No, but back to that conversation though with his dad, because also his dad's completely against like the deep state, and he's got the upside down American flag in his front yard. But he's also mad at Peacemaker because he's working for them, right? Like it never goes well and stuff
working
like that.
For the government.
So very much so, it's kind of pointing that Myrn is some sort of deep state, likely like if the deep state in the white supremacist eyes is ran by like weird aliens,
lizard people,
right? Like, we're getting into like these themes. I definitely see like parallels to, and I think that conversation with his dad kind of points like foreshadows that like Peacemaker's going to find out he is actually working for like some deep state bullcrap that Myrn's involved in.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I just feel like Myrn was like the one that wanted that entire family killed the most, and what it seemed to be the most upset that he didn't pull the trigger when he had the chance. So there's obviously some sort of dynamic there where maybe he's trying to take over the leadership of these guys or whatever, but
he was hesitant whether or not the whole family was. Like he did make that clear. Like he's like, I'm not sure if the rest of them are. And like he seemed a little surprised or like definitely jumped on it when he was like, oh no, they definitely all are. You have to kill them all. So I wonder if this is like he's like trying to like clean up some rogue sex of these butterflies. Yeah. Like he's like doing some sort of butterfly deep state housekeeping.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think so they like kind of alluded to, like I didn't see him being a butterfly. I did see him being shady, right? And probably being some sort of issue or plot device. But now knowing that he's a butterfly, looking back at the interaction, I believe it was in episode 2 when they're setting up for the stakeout and he's like putting the camera up on the tree or whatever, that interaction he has with John about like he's never had feeling, like he's when he like admits they're having a conversation, he's like, yeah, I'm a little whatever, and then he's like, I've actually never like admitted having a feeling
I've never had any
about
kind of feeling.
something.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you've never felt chilly? Like
yeah.
That whole conversation.
Is chilly a feeling?
Yeah. But like now it makes sense, right? Because he's like this weird alien like butterfly thing. So I don't know. I wonder if they're gonna do like the double whammy and like make you think that he's the bad butterfly out trying to kill like good butterflies, but maybe he's like a good butterfly and somehow is suckered into working for Argus, much like the Suicide Squad might be, and trying to prevent something happening
trying
with this
to
alien.
clear Earth
Right.
of these things. Yeah, could be.
I don't know.
What if, because they're playing a lot of emphasis on Leota here and like having to do the right thing for the mission and the team. Like, what if her mother is a butterfly and she has to kill her mother?
I don't think they would. I don't think Waller is that, but it will be interesting to see because you're right. They're putting her in a position where she's going to be like the crux, right? She's going to have to make that decision that's going to turn something one way or the other.
One way, yeah.
So,
because you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, what that will be, I don't know, but I have faith that she's going to make the decision for the right side, right? Because you can tell she's kind of growing close to this team, right? And it's gonna probably have to be a decision about Myrn when they figure it out, right?
Right.
But yeah, that whole story arc is going to be interesting. My bet is Myrn isn't going to be a bad guy. They'll probably double whammy us. That's my thought. I think I'm interested to see this whole White Dragon arc play out because they're really setting that up to be something. So what are you guys' thoughts on Peacemaker's dad and what impact he's going to have the last 4 episodes? And then do we know if this is going to be like a multi-season thing or I'm assuming it probably will be because that's not like an HBO DC thing. Well, okay, it is an HBO thing to have like mini series and stuff, but I don't know of a DC series except Swamp Thing, Rip Swamp Thing, but that was not by choice. That has just had 1 season, so I'm assuming they're planning on carrying this out.
Yeah, I would imagine that too. I think that once the popular, which it seems to be gaining traction, obviously that's why we're doing an episode on it. I think once they see how popular it's going to be, that it's probably going to come back for more. It just depends on. Is John Cena like a A-list actor?
I don't know. He's shown up in a lot of things. I don't think, personally, I don't think he's a great actor. I think he does good in this role because it's like a campy, like cheese role,
meathead,
like comedic type role. Some of the comedies I've seen him in, he's been all right. But like I'm not like, oh my god, John Cena, he's so great.
I think but people like the things he's in, like it started off as like a fun cameo because he's a popular wrestler and all that jazz. And then I think it's growing into more of like kind of like how The Rock started off, right?
Yeah,
right.
They all kind of had that same path. So I think like, he's sticking this role pretty well, and it's the right medium to where, he's the character, he's Peacemaker, and like this is a show that, people aren't watching it because it's John Cena's acting. Like one is a superhero flick. People just want to see big name actors play ridiculous superheroes. That's just kind of like our culture for the past 10 years. So yeah,
that's a good point.
He's here to stay, Chad.
I think so. I think it's unfortunately
you should be rejoicing. You're gonna get more Cena.
Yes, can't wait to see him dancing in his tighty whities again with his weird veins. Sure, we're gonna see that at some point during these next 4 episodes.
No, that's done. Just one and done.
But But yeah, White Dragon. What do you guys think is going to happen with this arc?
White Dragon. So like he's definitely the dude. He's bad. He's not a good guy. And they're definitely setting that up, but they're also setting him up to be against the whole like deep state and what really is likely going on with the whole Myrn situation. So will they pull out the whole dad's here to the redeemed dad saved the day, but he's really a piece of crap, and then someone kills him anyways? Not sure. But he seems like a big enough
that would
character.
Actually be pretty funny.
He seems like a big enough like villain character to like set up and use in the future, but he is pretty old too. I don't know what his powers are or anything besides being like super racist.
Yeah, that's a superpower.
Being a super racist and trained killer, apparently.
Yeah. I think I think I line up with the he's going to be the saving point at one point in one of these episodes, because they're setting him up to be such a crappy human being right now. I feel like that's what they're setting him up for. Personally, that's what I think.
I could definitely see that. I mean, that's definitely one of two routes, right?
Then Peacemaker kills him.
Dude, that actually makes the most sense. Myrn really is the villain, right? And then White Dragon comes, saves the day by defeating Myrn, which will make sense because Myrn is black and White Dragon is a white supremacist. So, and the whole deep state thing, it checks the racist box, it checks everything. You get a little bit of the redemption, though I don't know if this is a character you necessarily would want to redeem because he's so crappy.
Yeah.
But it makes total sense if you turn around and have John Cena or Peacemaker like get over that hump in his life, right? By defeating the thing that is very clearly not a good thing in his life. It affects him visibly in these episodes, like you can tell. So that definitely, that sounds like the path we're going to see next. So that's a good call. Did you guys notice that Peacemaker's dad is the Terminator villain?
T-1000, yeah, he's old, man.
he
is really showing his age.
He was T-1000.
T-1000, yeah.
I used to know him as like from a bunch of other stuff because he's one of those guys. But did not know he was T-1000.
Yep. Born in 1958.
Close enough.
And apparently he's lived in Cleveland at some time.
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I found out? Okay. This has nothing to do with Peacemaker, but it has everything to do with Cleveland. We were at the theater for No Way Home. Trailer comes on for something about the moon. Forget what.
Moon Knight.
Moon something. No, it's not the superhero
It's
shows.
the comedy disaster movie.
Yeah,
my son just
thing.
pointed it out right before he came down here.
Yeah. Whatever that movie's called, Halle Berry's in it, which, by the way, we watched the trailer. My wife and I were like, is that Halle Berry? And I like looked it up on IMDb and I was like, holy crap, it's Halle Berry. Then we found out that she's like 50. And I was like, dude, she looks like she's 29 in this movie. Like, how is she ageless?
Yeah.
And then full circle, she was born in Cleveland. Did you guys know that?
Oh, yes. I did not know
I did not know Halle Berry was born in Cleveland.
I knew that.
Moonfall. Just came to me.
That's it. Yep, that's it. Which, by the way, another thing, the dude who finds out about the moon in that movie
is Samwell Tarly from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. I noticed somebody from Game of Thrones, guys, because I watched almost the first season.
Is he in the first season?
Yeah, he's like the guy who befriends Jon Snow while they're like training on the wall.
Guess he is.
But yeah, I was like, wow, that guy looks really familiar. Where do I know him from? And then I clicked on him and I was like, holy crap, he's in Game of Thrones. Anyways.
Nice. Good for him.
Yeah, I like this White Dragon theory. I think you're right. I think that's what's going to play out.
I still think it's hilarious that when they're in the car, Vigilante and Peacemaker, and they're kind of talking about like killing, like it's apparent that Vigilante killed his family. And like the comment slides by, like, why don't you just kill your dad? Or, and he's like, nah, I mean, he's my dad. And he's like, I love him. And like, you see the light bulb go off and he's like, huh. He's like, like, that's all it takes not to kill your family is to like their family and you love them. He's like, huh.
Dude, Vigilante is like the sleeper character of the show.
Oh, for sure.
He's
Yeah,
so
he's
good.
fantastic.
I can't wait to see, him play out more in this series. And then, of course, I want to see what happens with Leota. I think that dynamic between her and her mom and what she sent there to do is going to be very interesting. Maybe her role is going to do something about like letting White Dragon defeat Myrn. I don't know. We'll see. We're getting too deep into that whole theory. But yeah, I can't wait to find out more about Peacemaker's childhood and kind of what happened with him and how he became who he is now, especially with that last clip that we saw with his brother. I'm really interested to see if maybe my theory of Peacemaker being the cause of his brother's death and that kind of being the rift in the relationship.
Yeah, that's
with his dad.
Yeah, that's a good theory for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. Overall, I'm glad that Nick and Mick Manhattan from Scene Snobs really, hyped this show up a lot and really pushed me to watch it. I can't think of anyone else who really recommended it any more than Nick and Mick. So thanks, guys. I'm really glad that Nick had this idea to do this episode about Peacemaker. I think it's a show that needs talked about, and I really hope that you guys check it out if you haven't already. It gets the 2 thumbs up from Showboys Mike. I would recommend. What about you guys?
I recommend it if you haven't noticed. I think so. Like, obviously, superheroes isn't my main forte, but it's something I like to keep up with just because it's a trendy topic and
you dabble
funny.
in it.
I dabble in it. I don't get. You can't spoil it for me. Like, there's comics, there's stories, there's things people care. So I care a little bit. But I definitely appreciate just like it's funny. It's like got that Deadpool vibe to it. And it doesn't take itself too seriously. And I think that's really where I think like superhero movies shine. And they just are really kind of self-aware. Like, that's why I like Guardians of the Galaxy so much, just because it's fun. James Gunn does a great job with the music. The dude can sample songs for movies and shows like no other. I bet this has a soundtrack, and I need to combine that with Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack and just call it James Gunn Picks.
Yeah, there you go. Was it like Awesome Mix Volume 1 or whatever?
Yeah, and
the Guardians playlist.
And I think I finally I enjoy seeing John Cena finally like fall into a role that like I want to watch him in, because otherwise I could care less if John Cena's in something.
All right.
I never like watched him as a wrestler or really followed him much. I just know that
because you couldn't see him, bro.
Yeah, is that a thing he does?
I don't know. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Did you
one
just
of
make
those
that
wrestlers,
up?
does it? No,
I'm pretty sure he does like the whole hand.
Yeah,
okay.
I
What it means, but
yeah, I like him. Like, he's just kind of like a replica of like what The Rock did, career wise. So I like to see him finally like find something that I'm like, oh yeah, I like John Cena because he's in this role.
Yeah, makes sense. What about you, Chad? How you feeling now that we forced you to watch the show?
Yeah, now that I was like forced to dive off of Star Wars and and watch this show, I like it. To be honest, if you guys didn't tell me to watch it, I probably would have never watched the show. But after watching it, I really enjoyed it. So I'll probably finish it for sure, just because I'm curious about what's gonna pan out here. And I think if you like Deadpool, this is a good like kind of. It feels like Deadpool, to be honest.
It's like Big Lots Deadpool.
Yeah, it's the dollar store Deadpool for sure. Yeah, it's yeah, I would agree with that assessment.
What else did I make a Big Lots reference to in a past
Big
episode?
Lots?
Yeah, if you don't live in like Northeast Ohio, you probably have no idea.
You have no idea what Big Lots is.
Yeah. Anyways, Oh, and also, if you want to, never mind. I'm not even going to rehash that joke because it fell flat on its face in our tech group text. Which, by the way, I thought it was a pretty hilarious joke.
I think it's more funny how funny you thought it was.
Dude, I was
Which one was it?
Crying laughing.
The one about you.
Oh, the joke about me. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent a snip of Judo Master sitting on Peacemaker's shoulder in the opening credits, and I was like, "Oh, glad to see Chad's acting career finally taking off." Because he's like a little midget Judo Master. And
stature jokes just are not.
No response.
Not funny.
I was, man.
I will say that I would have thought it was funny if I didn't spend literally my entire day arguing with stupid idiots on the internet, and I felt I was just cold and dead on the inside by the time that text came through. That I felt no emotion whatsoever. So
I'm glad you're fighting the good fight, Chad. Appreciate you out there. Just as long as you say like Showboys every like paragraph.
I actually did invite one guy to Showboys. We didn't argue.
Nice.
He like saw my point of view, and I was like, "Hey, dude, come hang out in our Discord." Because he's like, "I just like I get to the end of the conversation. I was like, then what are you even asking?" He's like, "I don't know, man. I just like having conversations like this with like-minded people like yourself." I was like, "Dude, come hang out." And I sent him to Discord.
Like a perfect plug for Discord right there. Yeah, but I just imagine because after I explained myself like 5 hours later, Jordan's response, like I just imagine, if maybe that was a live thing, I probably could have got him to cry. Like I feel like that was worthy of making Jordan cry.
If you flash it on the screen and like crack that joke, like Jordan would have fell out of his seat.
Yeah, dude.
And he would have been like, because he's short.
Yeah, and he would have just tears. But in my not my defense, in Jordan's defense, he laughs at everything. So like you don't even really have to be funny to make him cry.
Yeah.
But
oh, you said something this episode he would have died on. I'll tell you later.
Oh, okay. Okay. That might have to be the post-episode Easter egg. Anyways, by the way, we do that, guys. I don't know if any of you've caught on. We've only been doing it for like 40 episodes or so.
Right. And I will say they're better than Peacemaker's post-credit scene. So,
but yeah, hey, with that in mind, go watch a show, and I think that's gonna do it. Oh wait, we have a few Answer the Boys, which we got to get to. Of course, we asked what you guys thought about Peacemaker. Jordan says, definitely an amazing series. Had no idea it would turn out the way it did. Yellow thumbs up. Was a very pleasant surprise. And I got to agree. It's a yellow thumbs up. It's very diverse of Jordan. I will have to say this is very pleasant surprise for me as well. When the show is announced, having only seen trailers of the Suicide Squad and seeing Peacemaker in those trailers, I was like, I have no idea how they're going to make this a series. Sounds very stupid. Then I heard James Gunn was behind it, so it gave me just a dash of hope. But I still had really no expectations for it. But now after watching 4 episodes, I agree with Jordan. Fun series and definitely a surprise. Mel says, shout out Mel. Welcome back to the Answer the Boys section. It's been a while. She says, I have not watched the series yet, but I did enjoy his character in the Suicide Squad. I watched it last week while I was in quarantine. Hope you're feeling better. Much better than the first one. Agree. Sorry, I'm interjecting my own comments into her comment. I expected to not like him because I am just not a fan of John Cena, but he was great. See, I think she's, right up there with Chad. Yeah. Now they're fans of John Cena.
No,
huge fans.
Huge, the biggest, big fans. But yeah, that does it for our Answer the Boys section. Figured with this show being so new, probably would have a small Answer the Boys segment, because it's only been out for like a week. But yeah, thank you guys for answering. We always appreciate your contributions and Answer the Boys. Always fun to talk about your comments on the show. But that's going to do it for us, unless you guys have anything to throw out there here at the end.
We out.
Nice. So tune in Sunday night here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for episode 4. Are we on episode 4 of the companion
Yes.
series? Okay, episode 4 of the Boba Fett companion series. Which, if now you should be familiar with the companion series if you weren't before. But we will be breaking down last night's episode of Boba Fett in great detail and over analyzing the crap out of it. So that series has been really fun to do. So make sure you tune in 9 p.m. No newscast this week. And the only other thing for us is we might have a special little behind the scenes Facebook live stream on Saturday night for a little project I'm working on with a friend from the Play Along podcast. So if you follow us on Facebook, look out for that stream on Saturday night. It should be a lot of fun. We're cooking up a little project here on the side that I'm very excited for. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/showboyspodcast. Subscribe. Sorry, hiccups are back.
Of course.
Subscribe to Showboys Podcast YouTube, Showboys Gaming YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, and all that jazz. Join us in our Discord. Link is in the episode description. And we hope to see you Saturday night. Have a wonderful evening.
When you were talking about Leota finishing off that guy, I was like, Jordan would have absolutely lost it. Absolutely. The way you said it was just capped.